Hello everyone. Let's start on corrections for the exam. Now, for this exam, I'm going to work through the problems. I'll probably make 2 videos so I don't go over my time limit. Let's start with number 1. I asked you to find the distance from point A to point B. Now, you can plot point A if you'd like. Point A is -3, +4. That's it right here. Point B is 6, +1. That's right here. You're trying to find the distance between A and B. Now, you don't have to plot them, but I figured I'd give everybody a chance just in case they wanted to. Now, to find the distance, you want to use a distance formula. Oh, a little too close there. Which is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, all under the radical. Now, like I tell my geometry students, it does not matter which point is which. What matters is whichever point you start with, you have to do it for both x and y, or you're not going to get the right answer. So first, I'm going to start with, we'll say A is 0.2 and B is 0.1, so we're going to start with -3 minus 6 squared plus 4 minus 1 squared, and take the square root of this. Now, I believe I allowed you to use your calculators on this one, so if you work through it, -3 minus 6 is a -9, and that's squared. 4 minus 1 is 3 squared. Well, -9 times -9 is a +81. 3 squared is 9, which gives you the square root of 90, which also gives you a approximate answer of 9.487, I believe. But that should give you that distance. Either the square root of 90 or the approximate answer of 9.487 is an acceptable answer to me. I'm good with either one. Now, number 2, find the endpoint for the line segment with an endpoint A, -2, 4. I'm beginning to see why this didn't make as much sense. Wow, okay. I have typos in this, but still, M is the midpoint, 1, 3. Now, remember that your formula is x1 plus x2 over 2. Your y, y1 plus y2 over 2. A is an endpoint. M is a midpoint. We want the other endpoint. I said find the endpoint for the line segment, which implies that x1 or x2 I don't have. y1 or y2 I don't have. So I have one of them, but not the other, which means I have the answer. Well, the answer, the x for the midpoint is a 1. That's here. The x for 0.1 is -2. We don't have the other x point, so we have a formula that we've got filled in as best we can, and we solve for the x. So multiply 2 on both sides, you get 2 equals -2 plus x. Then you add the 2 on both sides, and you get 4 equals x. So for our b, the x coordinate is a 4. Now for the y of the midpoint is a 3. So we say 3 equals. The y of the first point is a 4. So we say 4 plus y divided by 2. Okay, multiply the 2 on both sides. We get 6 equals 4 plus y. Subtract the 4, and we get 2 equals y. So that means B is 4, 2. And that's the actual answer. That's what I was looking for. All right, on number 3, I asked you to find the slope of the line segment from point A, negative 3, 4, to point B, 6, 1, and write the general form of the equation of this line. Now remember, general form of the equation is AX plus BY equals C. That's the general form. So my answer has to be in that form. Now, we need to find the slope. Okay, slope is y minus y over x minus x. It's rise over run. So we'll put 4 minus 1 over negative 3 minus 6. That gives me a positive 3 over a negative 9. 3 over 9 reduces down to 1 over 3, and the whole thing is negative. So there's the first part of what I'm looking for. Negative 1/3 is the slope. Now remember, the point slope form is your intermediate. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I like using this one because I just plug in one point and I've got it. I can just solve for that equation of y. So y minus, we'll use b, 6 equals negative 1/3 times x minus, oh wait, that's not it. My apologies, y minus 1, x minus 6. Got to make sure you keep your x's and y's separate. Now, y minus 1 stays. Negative 1/3 is negative 1/3 x. Negative 1/3 times negative 6 gives me a positive, but 6 over 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I get a positive 2. Now we need to add the 1 on both sides to move the 1 over, and we get y equals negative 1/3 x plus 3. All we have to do is get rid of the fraction, because you note that in our general form it's ax plus by equals c. There is no fraction, it's whole numbers, it's integers. So to get rid of that, let's bring this up here. We have y equals negative 1/3 x plus 3. If we multiply by 3 across the entire thing, what we'll get is we'll get 3y equals negative 1x plus 9. If we add the x on both sides, we get x plus 3y equals 9, and that is the general form. That's really all we have to do. We have our slope, and we have our general form. Now, let's go down to number 4, and I ask you to write the equation of a line that includes the point C and D, 1, 4, and 5, 2, and I want you to list the slope, the y-intercept, and the x-intercept. Now, as Braden pointed out in class, sometimes it's easier to get this information from the general form than it is the slope-intercept, which is the y equals mx plus b. We'll look at that and we'll see. So the first thing we need to do, find the slope, because, well, that's the first thing you need to do at all times with this. So rise is going to be, we'll use c first. So 4 minus 2, and then 1 minus 5, because 1, 4, and 5, 2. Now, 4 minus 2 is a positive 2. 1 minus 5 is a negative 4, which means it simplifies down to negative 1/2. So that's our slope. We've got one of the three things. Let's go ahead and use our point slope formula. All we have to do, plug it in. Y minus, well, why don't we use D for this? Okay, so Y is minus the Y, which is 2. Negative 1/2 times X minus 5. Well, that's going to give me Y minus 2 equaling negative 1/2 X plus 5 times a negative 5 times a negative 1/2 is a positive 5/2. Now we add 2 on both sides. We get Y equals negative 1/2 X. And here we're adding 5/2 to 2. Now we have to add 2 fractions, so we have to put the 2 over 2, so it becomes 4 over 2. And 4 over 2 added to 5 over 2 gives us 9 over 2. Now we could stop here and we could find out what the y-intercept is. In fact, you should be able to tell immediately the y-intercept is anytime that x goes to 0 is a positive 9/2. So the y-intercept is actually equal to 9/2. We can also multiply the whole thing by 2, which gives us 2y equals negative x plus 9, which comes down to a general form of x plus 2y equals 9. If we look at that, if x goes to 0, then 2y equals 9, and y would equal 9/2. But if y goes to 0, then x has to equal 9, and x equaling 9 is the x-intercept. So, should have written that in there. Our slope is negative 1/2. Our y-intercept is 9/2, and our x-intercept is 9. And that's how you solve it. All right, I'm going to stop here and go on to the next page in the next video. See you in a few minutes.